My name is SooHoo. I'm 68.
And when and where were you born?
I was born in China, 1936.
Where in China were you born?
Well, I was born in a small village near Canton. My father's name is Eugene SooHoo, and my mother's name was Kay SooHoo.
And what were their parents' names?
My grandfather's, his name is Tom SooHoo, and my grandmother's name is I really don't know.
Grandma.
Yeah. I was living in the same village. In those days, our village didn't have any electricity or anything, so if you want to go any place, you have to walk. So until I came to America, I was never more than 5 miles from my village, because like we had really no means of transportation.
Wow.
No, you know. Actually, one of the most modern things I seen was just a bicycle.
Yeah, did you guys have a bicycle or?
No. See, somebody else had a bicycle.
I see. So everything was walking. Like it wasn't. People didn't have horses or.
Well, horses they have, but there were very few horses in our part of the country.
I see.
Yeah, but you know.
I see. And what kind of I guess what kind of a house did you live in? Did you live in?
Well, we live in a simple brick house, and you know, most of the house in China is so similar. They have 2 bedrooms on the side, and the living room is in the middle, and they have a opening in the front, so lights can come in. And I live with my grandmother was also in the same house, so we have a 2-generation household.
Now that was your father's mom? Or
yeah, my father's mom. Yes.
She lived with you?
We were, in the village. There was like about, this village is not a big village, maybe about 30 houses.
Oh wow.
And they have rows of houses, 6 rows of houses. Each sort of like a little street. Each street is about 5 or 6 houses. Our house was the first house in the village, in the front.
Oh, okay.
Of the village.
At the beginning of the village.
Most of the village is farming. You know, that's all they do. Nobody really have any big jobs on it. They all grow rice. They all farming.
I see.
That's their life.
I see. So everyone grew rice.
Yeah.
And was there a market that you went to for like fish or meat or?
Yeah. Sometimes they have people, peddlers bring the fish and the meat in, but sometimes we go to the market. And we have to walk. It takes an hour just to go to.
Oh really?
Walk to the market.
And the market was in another village?
Yeah, well, in a bigger village.
I see.
Sometimes the market is sort of like a piece of ground where you have like people just congregate certain days just to sell stuff over there. So go to the market on certain days of the week. You can buy meat. But a lot of this stuff, like meats, because we are farmers, we grow ourselves, but we raise chickens, and some people raise pigs. So, and some people, grow vegetables. You have the vegetable garden. Those people that are relatively well off, they have more land. They can grow vegetables, and they can raise pigs and stuff like this. So sometimes, we pretty much sell some fish, and sometimes we actually catch the fish ourselves. Each village has a pond in the front, so sometimes we go and just catch the fish. And during the spring, where you plant the rice needs a lot of water, and when there's water, you have sometimes they have a little flood, and a lot of fish flows in from the river. You go in there and try to catch them, and so we develop a technique, have traps to catch the fish. So you don't have to depend on the going to the store all the time like here. You go to the supermarket every couple of days. Sometimes you go maybe once or twice a week, because you get all the staples. Pretty much self-sufficient. We raise like some chickens. Sometimes a hen lays like 12 eggs. And every year we use. Sometimes we eat the eggs, but every so often we let the hen hatch the eggs, so we raise young chickens. And what you do is you let the chickens go out in the daytime. They go to the field and they scrape off the field. Sometimes they harvest the rice. They eat the rice and things like that. So then during some holidays, you get a couple of chickens. You kill the chicken, you have a feast. Or if somebody in the valley decided to slaughter a pig, then everybody can participate. Some people get a piece of that. And also in the dry season, the pond all the water gets dried up, and all the fish, got no place to go. So that's when you go down there and catch a lot of fish, and then you divide it among the villages. So sometimes you can catch like a couple hundred pounds.
Wow!
And you just divide it, and some people will make salted fish and stuff like that, and that keeps.
Now, how long would the salted fish keep?
Well, in China, they don't have a refrigerator because they have no electricity. But everybody keeps a box, like a big box, wooden box with sashes in it, and you keep the flies out by with all this thing, and you sort of store things in there. But most of the stuff is usually, you put preservative, like you put preserved vegetable, 1,000-year eggs, and salted fish. And those things can keep like a month, salt and all those staples.
Right.
So you use them, or shrimp paste. See, all these you have a lot of salt and a lot of preservative, or you have pickled vegetables. And a lot of times you dry the vegetables. Sweet potato, for instance, you can cook the sweet potato and you cut it up into small pieces, and you put it in the sun and you dry them. Even they get dry, they sort of harden a little bit. It's like so, you keep them in a jar. And we, as kids we used to eat them like candy. So once in a while we go to school, we get a piece of dry sweet potato, and they like jerky, so they're dry. See, but they're sweet. See,
right.
Same thing with sweet rice flour. So you make the sweet rice with sugar and everything, then you put them in a bowl, you smash like a meatball, and you let it dry, and it's hardened, but it's sweet. See? So sometimes as kids we put a couple in our pocket, go to school, and we munch on them. It's sort of over here maybe it's not a big deal, but over there it's a big deal. See? Right. Not everybody have sweet potatoes because a lot they don't have enough land, so a lot of people just doesn't have enough land to grow. So if you're lucky, you have enough land, you can grow sweet potatoes, you can make all this kind of stuff, preservative.
So in the village, were there a lot of other kids as well?
Oh yeah, some kids, and they're kids of different ages, and so I was pretty lucky because when I was young, I get to, my mother and my father was pretty busy, so I I get to run around with hang around with some of the older kids, like 1 or 2 years older. So we used to go do different things, and we have no toys like here, so we have to go amuse us, devise our own amusements. So a lot of times what we do is we go to try to catch fish, we try to catch frogs. We go to in every village in the front there's a pond. In the back there's sort of like a small forest to protect the village from the wind and everything. And they got all sorts of different trees, bamboos, and in there. And what happened is birds make nests there, and sometimes they go try to watch the birds and see if they watch the nest, lay eggs. Sometimes they go climb the tree, try to
get the eggs.
And so we really devise. We go swimming holes. We devise our own amusements, and so actually we had a pretty much fun. I think I look back, I sort of enjoy my boyhood, as compared to the kids growing up over here.
Now, did you have like a best friend or a bunch of best friends, or was?
Oh yeah, I have a cousin that's 2 years older than me, so I sort of hang out with him all the time, and he lives just 2 houses from us. So we used to go.
Now, what was his name?
Huh?
What was his name?
His name is Kai Wing. Kai Wing. And he's just 2 years older than me, so it was enough. So we go hang around. And sometimes we also go to the neighborhood villages, hang around with the other kids. So we devise all sorts of amusement games, and we invented ourselves.
Now, how far away was the next village?
About a mile away. So we could walk.
What was your relationship with your brother and sister when you were growing up?
Well, I don't have that much a relationship with my brother and sister because I was like 5 years older than my sister, and I was like 8.5 years older than my brother. Okay. So when I was 5, my sister is just
a baby.
New baby. My brother wasn't born yet. So this is why I get to more or less to hang around by myself, go out and play with the other kids, because I really didn't have any sibling to watch over to any of these things,
So now, did you have like pets or anything like that as well, or?
Yeah, I have we have dogs. I have a dog. In China, the dogs, you raise them for different purposes. Sometimes you raise them like a watchdog to watch the house, but you still get to play with them, get attached to them. And I also, when I was like 6, 7 years old, I had a bird. And what happened was, I got this little bird since it was out of the nest, when it was very young. So I took it home and I actually raised it. And this bird is like one of those minor birds. And when you raise them, they think you're the mother. So a lot of times when they grew up, I used to put them on my shoulder. We used to go out, and the bird used to go out and try to hunt for bugs and stuff like to eat. But after a while, he'll come back. So I had the bird for about one whole summer. And but one day, what happened was there was a whole bunch of birds that was flying high. It was the same kind of bird, and that bird joined them, flew off my shoulder, and just like, and that after that,
he never came back.
He didn't come back. He must have migrated with all the other birds. But that was that was a good experience.
Oh, that's neat. You probably found a wife and started having a family.
Probably,
Yeah.
otherwise he'll be back.
Yeah.
We weren't considered real rich, but we weren't real poor either. Because what happened was, my grandfather was very poor, and what happened, because when my grandfather young, their father smoked opium. That was the British sent him opium. Everybody got poor because they have to sell everything just to keep up their habits. So what happened was, my grandfather when he was young, he came to America. He endangered himself. He get passage money, borrow money to get to get the boat fare. Then he had to promise to work in the laundry for 5 years for somebody.
This is your grandfather. This is your dad's?
Yeah, my grandfather, my dad's grandfather. Yeah. Then he remembered the reason they're poor was because they didn't have any land. See, so what happened was, when he made some money in America, and he sent it back, and we put land. See, we put quite a few. So by the time my father, we had actually more land than we needed. See, we could, on our land we could do more rice than we actually eat. See, so we weren't, we weren't real rich, but we weren't poor. So also my father was, he also came to America. He went back to China in the early 30s and got married. So what happened was, I got sent to school pretty early when I was 5 years old. I got sent to the first grade. So by the time I was 10, I actually got to the 5th grade. See. So now in the 5th grade, here doesn't mean much, but in China, when you get to the 5th or 6th grade, you learn quite a bit, because in China, if you don't learn, they punish you. They hit you with a whip. So you may have to, you have to apply. If nothing else, you have to learn just to get. I remember when I was like in the 2nd grade, every Tuesday I put out my hand in the teacher whip me, because we have a spelling. Every Tuesday we have spellings, and it's not like here they give you the word to study. The spelling test over there is that in a book you read, the teacher can take 10 words out of there. You're gonna know how to write it. The Chinese characters are pretty complicated, So you get less than 7 out of 10, you have to stick your hand up, and he's gonna give you a whip. And sometimes that thing hurts.
Yeah.
It doesn't break any bones, but it hurts you, because this little whip is like a line, and it's got a little bit of snap in it, So, but my most vivid, memory was the time that I got punished, and I'm still holding a grudge against my teacher that punished me, because I got whipped 238 times.
Oh my gosh!
When I was in the 3rd grade.
On your hand?
No, all over the place.
Oh my gosh!
And what happened was, we were arguing about the guy. In China, the desk, the desk has two. It's a long desk, and 2 people can sit in one desk. So I was arguing with this guy about math problems. So I guess I pushed him, and he pushed me, and we got caught. And well, this teacher was, I guess he was a little bit young or something, or maybe he's got some problems at home or something. He was mad that day, and he took us up there, and he held my hand, and he started whipping over the place, and I was running around, and he whipped me for 218 times. The other guy only got whipped 180 times, because they say I was the aggressor.
Oh my gosh!
So I was very. Even to this day, I remember this. I say, well, if I see this guy again, I'm gonna whip him, but but you know, as I said, I didn't, I haven't seen him, or sort of forgot his name. But the funny thing was, after I get work, I was afraid to tell my parents. You know, see, in China they're not like here. You know, the parents sort of protect their kids. If the teachers sort of give them a little bit of problem, the parents go to the school. In China, if the parents punish the kids, if the kid tell the parents think the kid must have done something wrong, they're liable to punish them again. See, so you don't tell the parents. That's why I'm still, you know, because I said, gee, you know, I was not, you know, I didn't deserve that, but I can't, you know.
Now, how old were you when that happened?
I was 8. You know.
Oh,
yeah, I was in the 3rd grade. Yeah, I was 8 years old. You know, yeah, so we were doing a long division problem. We were arguing, and, you know.
Wow. Now, what was in your school? Were you divided into grades, or were you all in one classroom, or how did that?
Well, this sort of, you know, we go to a school in a village. What happened is the neighborhood, sometimes 3 or 4 villages. See, in China in those days, they have no public education. Everything is private. So what they do is they hire a teacher, and you have to pay the teacher. The parents have to pay the teacher, and usually they pay them in how much, you know, how many pounds of rice and how many pounds of this and that. So you pay the teacher, and there's only one teacher for like maybe about 80 kids. And they're all in different grades, you know, from maybe the 1st grade to the 6th grade. So you get, you know, you know, in the school usually one big room with a lot of classes. So the teacher has to teach like five. Most of the time, maybe 1 to 6, because see, in China, if you get to the 7th grade, that's considered junior high school. Mm-hmm. So you go to you know, another school. So what you do is you go to a village school, you go from 1 to 6. And they have, you know, and a good thing is in China, even in those days, they do have co-ed, you know, co-ed. So the girl get to go, but the girl still get get the short shrift, because most of the time, if they really can afford to send one kid, they will send a boy to school. The girl won't get sent. Or if the girl gets sent, they get sent maybe when they're 8 years old, much later than the boy. So yeah. So in a girl, of course, you know, they go to school when they are older, you know. And so usually most of the good students are the girls, because by then they were older, and also they probably study, you know, a little harder. But
so that means so you had multiple grades. All in the same room, and then, but the age of people in different grades was also different, right? Because people didn't always start, like you started when you were 5, other people started.
No, for the boys, they pretty much, you know, also, yeah, the age could be, you know, in the same grade could be like 2 years different or 3 years different, particularly for the girls. But even the boys, because a lot of times what happens is, sometimes the parents don't have the money when the boy gets to 5. So sometimes they skip to get some money. You know, later on, they get to send to school. So they don't automatically go to school as an age. So
right.
A lot of them. So you can have like the 3rd grade. You can have some people 8 years old. Some people could be 11. You know.
Right.
You know. So that's not unusual, because you know, they have to pay. Let's face it, most of the people in the village are poor. They can't afford to send, you know, too many.
Now how long was the school? Did it last all day, or it was just like 4 or 5 hours? I mean, was it a?
No, it lasts pretty long. It lasts from like 7 till about 4. And also Saturday you have to go to school too. So it's actually 7 days, 6 days of school, only 1 day off. And you know, and also the subject they teach you. First you have to you know, Well, yeah, the subjects they teach you usually, in the lower grades, is reading, writing, arithmetic, the main subjects, and also you also have to recite the books you read out loud. So you might have a 30-minute, 40-minute period where everybody start reading the book out loud. They go reciting the books.
Now, where did the books come from?
Huh?
So the teacher would bring the books in, or how did
you have to buy the books. The teacher would recommend the books, and you have to buy the books.
So it's very expensive to send a kid to school. Because also you'd lose. I mean, if you were there from 7 to 4, that also means obviously you're not at home helping the family. Like.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like you're not helping the family, and so and you also go to school Saturdays, and but usually, see, those get to send schools also. They're pretty studious, because if they don't do well, they're liable to take them back and maybe send a second kid. And usually. This is Chinese in lower grades usually involves a lot of memory stuff. See, because the character and everything, you really have to memorize it. It's not like English where you're spelling. You could maybe even a very difficult word, you might miss one letter. Misspell word by one letter. But in Chinese, you can't start. If you forgot how to write a darn thing, you just can't start. It's very difficult to look up in the dictionaries also. We don't even have any dictionaries probably. So the teacher, the teacher has to work pretty hard, because he has to really teach fire stuff.
Now, how many kids were in the school?
Depends on the valley sometimes, also. So, but usually, like when I went, there was around like 70 kids in about 5 or 6 grades.
Wow, and one teacher.
Yeah, and one teacher. Yeah, one teacher. And the teacher usually lives in the school.
So now what happens, so that was grade school. What happened for junior high? What did you do?
Well, I never got to junior high. See.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I came to America when I was like 10 and a half.
Oh, wow.
I just barely got into the 6th before they pulled me out, and I came to the
Who pulled you out, your parents?
Huh?
Who pulled you out, your parents?
Yeah, my father, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about your dad. What did he do? What was he? You were saying that he was really busy. You didn't see him a lot.
Yeah, well, in China, what happened is that you're a man. You sometimes, if you're poor, you have to work. You have to go to the field, go day till night, or go catch fish, or go do something to make a living. If you had enough to eat, which we did, you don't have to do this. Then he goes to goes to his a group of men, play mahjong, do all sorts of things, and or he goes to town, and so he devises his own things. Yeah. What happened was we had enough land. We actually considered a small landlord. What happened was we had enough land to grow rice, and we have enough land to feed, say, maybe grow enough rice on our land to feed maybe 20 people. And we only have, say, in the household only 6 people. So what we do is we let somebody else who has no land
work here
to plant the rice and do almost everything. In what happened in the harvest, we split the they get half of the grains, we get half the grains. See? So theoretically, and since my grandfather was already in America, once in a while they sent back some money. So we actually, not super rich, but we really don't have to very work. So my father really didn't have, but he was. He graduated high school from here. See, when he went back to China, so he was, he was actually pretty much educated.
So how was your father? He was born in China.
Yeah.
In the same village or a nearby village?
Same village.
Same village, and then he left China. How old was he when he came to the U.S.?
I think when he came, when he was like 14.
I see.
Yeah.
And he went to high school here.
Yeah, he went to high school and graduated from high school.
Where
in Pennsylvania, Pittston, small town, coal mining town.
Wow.
And he actually did very well. Unfortunately, that was the Depression, and he couldn't. When he graduated, he couldn't get a scholarship to college, and he couldn't get a job. So he went back to China.
Now, why did he came to the U.S. because your grandfather, or his father, was already here?
Yeah. My grandfather was operating a laundry over here already, so that's how,
I see. Now, did your grandfather bring the whole family over, or
no,
just him?
No, just my grandfather just brought my father over, And, in those days, the woman's immigration law and everything, it's very hard to bring them over.
I see.
So it's only the man, who could. Well, also because of the boat fare, you can't afford to pay more.
Right.
But also the load of you can't bring any women in those days.
Now, was your dad also the oldest like you? Is that why he got?
Yeah, he's the first. He's the first. When he went back, that was just before the war. See. And when he bought he bought whole trunk loads of stuff. He saw books. He was a good student, so he bought all sorts of books, Shakespeare books and stuff like that. But the problem was, in China, there's no job for them either. See, there's not much to do. So.
But he spoke English, right?
Yeah, he speaks English. Yeah, but he also got to high school in China before he came over here. See. So he knows
he's like a real scholar.
Chinese pretty good,
Yeah.
Right.
But again, as I said, he didn't really have to work. You
Right.
could say he actually had a relatively easy life.
Now he met your mom, when he came back to China.
Yeah, the first thing. See, he actually went to China. He didn't meet my mom. In those days, a lot of people depend on matchmakers. See, when you go back to China, somebody go back to China, even if it's a poor laundry guy, he's considered a big catch. Yeah, well, that's true, because all the girls in the village wants to marry somebody, came back from America,
right?
Because
that's right.
Because that's what they're hoping for, and because that's how they once they get married to America, they figure they have their their life mate, everything, which most cases that's true, because they made some money in $1 in America and when like $20 in China, you can buy stuff like that.
So your dad met your mom through a matchmaker?
Yeah, matchmaking. Yeah.
Now, did he get married right away when he came back to the U.S. or back to China?
Yeah, he pretty much within 1 year went to China he got married.
I see.
My mother was quite young, 17.
And is that when they bought the land, or they had bought?
No, my grandfather already bought
I see.
land earlier than that. See?
I see. Now, while your dad was in the U.S., who was running the land, or who owned?
No, we sort of again split it up.
I see.
We have some relatives. What we do is we tell our relative to manage everything, and we split.
I see.
We split 50-50. So.
I see.
So we had enough relatives. That was they weren't rich. They had no land.
Now tell me about your mom, because she was from a different village.
Yeah. Well, in China, what happened is each village usually the population from the same clan. See, like each village, very seldom you have mixed you have say Lees living with SooHoo in the same village. Usually it's all SooHoos, all Lees, all Kwans, you know.
So it's almost like a family.
Yeah, it's like a clan. You know,
right.
you don't have like two clans live in the same village. Very unusual. Even if you live in the same village, what do you segregate? One end is for this, one end is that. Sometimes kids get into fights with the other side. A lot of times, sometimes you know we got nothing to do. We just fight the other bunch of guys just for that. But usually the whole village is either one from one clan, Chens or that kind of stuff. See, so if you get married, you usually marry somebody from another village.
I see.
So you know, my mother's name is Wu, maiden name is Wu, which is she's from another village. But it's not that far. Maybe about like 4 miles or 3 or 4.
I see.
Yeah. So
I see. Now, what kind of family did your mom come from?
Well, my mom's family is also, considered relatively fairly well-to-do, not real rich, but again, because my mother's father was in Canada, immigrated to Canada, so they have. Actually, they might even be a little bit well off than we are, because they have like a 3-story house in China. That's pretty good. In each village, maybe only 2 or 3 of them's got 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pretty sizable 3 stories.
Now, did you have much contact with her side of the family? Did you like see
Yeah,
them?
when I was a kid, I used to. On holidays, you have to visit. On certain holidays, the Mary, because it goes back to the other village. Usually they bring, like you have to bring pork, goodies, and everything. You go, and usually, the kid will go with them.
I see.
Just like.
Now your dad wouldn't go with you, but
Most likely not. Just my mother and me, and that that's it. Because he doesn't want to get stuck away. She went to school, but again, I don't think she got to high school. She just graduated from maybe elementary school.
I see.
Because I said the girls started much later than the boys in
right.
China, even if you got money. So, she got married when she was 17, so she really didn't have it, go to.
I see.
Go to.
So your parents didn't really. So your mom raised the kids, obviously, and then your dad didn't have. Did he do a lot of the farming himself, or
No. Both of my mother and my father in our family did not have to go to the field and do that much. We all pretty much maybe supervise. That's about the size of it.
Did you guys have servants?
No, in our family we didn't have servants. In my mother's family, they have some. They have a girl servant. They have 1 or 2 servants. But in our family, we didn't have any.
I see. Now, did you have to? I guess until you came to the U.S., you didn't have, because you were in school. Most of the time, you never had to take a job or do anything like that, or?
No, I was too young to take a job.
Right.
I was too young to get a job. Just more or less,
Right.
play along. Do all sorts of things that boys do.
I see. Just two more questions for you. What are your best memories of childhood, and what are your most difficult memories of childhood?
Well, my most difficult was the time that I got hit. But the teacher, because I really didn't feel I deserved it, So that was the. And another memory was my father was pretty strict. He had a fetish about you getting cut and that kind of stuff. I used to get into little scrapes with a lot of people. Kids, sometimes you get a cut, and I remember if I get a cut, he used to sometimes go pretty wild, so I used to hide and try to do all sorts of things, but that was, I don't know why he's so wild about that, because boys, you usually get nosebleed, people,
Mm-hmm.
we the kids, we had a good time. Sometimes we just, you know.
So now, were you when you were a child, when you were a kid, what kind of kid were you? Like a tough kid? Were you a funny kid? Were you quiet? Were you?
Well, I was sort of pretty much, I would say, considered average, maybe a little bit. I wasn't that smart when I was in China. I mean, you know, because as I said, when I went to school, I was, you know, I was more or less just maybe slightly above average, but I was by no means the tops in my class. I mean, it didn't like it. And also, it doesn't mean anything because when I went to school, I never went a full year of school, you know. Sometimes when the Japanese come, the school has to sort of disband. So sometimes you only get to go to 5 months, you know, certain months. And also because each grade is different. Sometimes one grade only have like 4 people, you know. So you could be the top guy and you could be the last guy. You know, right. One time I was both, you know, because the other 2 guys never show up for the exams. You know? So that was that. So, but I was, you know, I mean, I consider myself a little bit. But when I came to America, I was a very good student. But because you know, in math and everything, you know, you were way ahead. You know, you don't have to do much. When I came to America, all I had to do is learn English and math, history, and all those things. I really knew about it already. See, so, but you know, as I said, so I did well here. But in China, because your competition was much higher, you know, I was competing kids who were 1 or 2 years older, you know,
right.
And also some of the kids they applied themselves even more than I do, you know. So I was just, you know, doing the average grades. You know,
so what are your best memories? Best things. When you think back to your childhood.
Well, I don't really have bad memories, but in general, I think I really enjoyed it, my childhood. You know, I feel that I pretty rich childhood, and I experienced all sorts of things that I don't think the kid born here, you know, have that kind of experience. Because as I said, you learn how to. You know, amuse yourself. You learn how to do all sorts of things, and you learn a lot. And you hang around with all the kids, and you know, it was a general fun time. And of course, I was lucky, as I said. If you were starving anything, you don't have it. But I was pretty lucky. We didn't have that kind of problem, so we were more or less, you know, just. And I was lucky because my father is, you know, he goes more or less go by himself. So my mother is busy, you know. So I was sort of, when I was young, I sort of had more or less a free reign to do what I want, to do what I enjoy, you know. And so when you do that, you got, you know, you do all sorts of things that you like, you know. We used to go fishing. We used to go to the rice fields, and when the rice fields are dry, poke holes. Sometimes you get a frog, sometimes you get a snake, and you gotta learn how to do also. Yeah, it's very amusing, you know. But
okay.
In general, I would say that I had a good time.
America next.
Yeah.
The next round.
Yeah. I will tell you how meet Aunt May.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Oh, that's the big part.